Hello and welcome to episode number 133 of the Real Life Caddy podcast. I am the Big G. I am here with young Zabbo. Welcome, Michael.
Young Zabbo. I don't get that very often. 133, is that all we're on? I thought we were at like 139 or something.
You've had your hair cut, so you look younger than you were yesterday.
Oh, good point. And a beard trim, too. It was getting a little behemoth there.
What do we have for the Real Life Caddy podcast perverts today?
More caddy stories. I actually worked with one of the gentlemen you worked with a few weeks ago that you had a caddy story
Gentleman?
about. The talker, yes. We have a story about him.
Okay, what else we got?
We got a story about name calling, calling us the right names, the wrong names. And,
Very true.
Yeah.
And a few weeks ago you said that I didn't have the best, most random story ever, and I'm going to prove you wrong.
Okay, let's hear it.
So let's get cracked in. What do you have for us today? Actually, no. You know what?
Yeah.
What I'd like to start on is you just came in and accused me of stealing.
Well, it did. I mean, you have a rangefinder that has a glorified donkey magnetic cover on it.
All right.
Which mine did that I lost at our caddy golf day that you arranged up at Seascape.
Up at Seascape, yes.
And I left it there, and it was sitting there. And not only that, but the eyepiece was broken in the same exact spot. So I put two and two together. It's the same color. It has the same case on it. It's broken in the same spot. Well, it has to be Zabbo's.
He accused me of being a thief. Now,
in my defense, he is a caddy, so if the shoe fits.
True, by the way. Now, the reason I know it's not yours is because the way I came across that rangefinder was because I went to another club. I used my rangefinder. I did the same thing. I left the rangefinder at the club.
Mm-hmm.
I called the man in charge. I said, listen, I have one of those Bushnell black white things, blah blah blah. He said, got it here, I'll put it aside for you.
Perfect.
I said, I won't be back there. Give it to another caddy, who then gives it to me. It's not mine, but it's also not yours. So there you go.
Well, I did the same thing at Seascape and still didn't show up. I didn't get somebody else's rangefinder.
I tell you what, the guy that collected it for me plays a lot at Seascape, so maybe it is yours.
That's funny. I think I have the box and I could find the serial number because that is broken in the same spot. If he happened to put his name on, I'm telling you. I'm telling you.
Yourself. Do you think watches break, the arms break on the same watch?
Yeah, obviously.
There's a chance that specific model could break in the same place.
There also is a chance that specific rangefinder is Mike Zabbo's rangefinder.
I tell you what, called me a thief, and he's got his tail between his legs because he's wrong. Because we actually have the real owner's name scrubbed off in it.
Yeah,
with his phone number.
Oh, did you finally get it off there?
I tell you what, one extra step. It wasn't me that did that, but I did find it after. Regardless, we digress. We have to move on. What do you have for us, Zabbo? What do you want to kick off with?
Well, if you remember a few weeks back, you talked about working with a gentleman from the Wii course by the name. You said everybody would know him if you said Talky Talky.
Talky Talky.
And I happened to work with him. And this one was interesting because so I'm on the bench and there's two doubles on the tee, and Talky goes up with another caddy, and they're standing up there. All of a sudden, the other caddy walks down, and I'm like, what's going on, buddy? He goes, carrying, I can't do it. I'm not really carrying bags anymore. He's like, but he gave me $200.
And paid him up front.
Paid him up front. So I was like, wow, that's pretty cool. I said, so I'm on it. He goes, you're on it. I was like, well, that doesn't bode well for me. You already got my money. I'm going to go back up. He's like, no. I gave the money back to him. So sure enough, I walk up there. A guy looks at me and says, hey, you carrying these two bags? I said, yes, sir, I am. Because here you go, gave me $200. So at this point, as a lot of caddies know, sometimes Talky can kind of eat your tip, as we like to say. Gets a little food here, a little food there, and your tip actually goes a little bit down because he's consuming so much worth of food that they don't have enough money to pay you.
Shocking, absolutely shocking.
Here we go around the fifth hole, and the beverage cart rolls up for the first time, and it's not like a corporate out of the shop deal. They're paying for it, and my guy goes, hey, caddies, whatever you want here, grab whatever you want. And so he walks over. I'll have a banana. I'll have a breakfast sandwich. I'll have a Snickers. I'll have a cookie. I'll have a Powerade. I swear to God, he must have had like $70, $80 worth of stuff. And
shopping list.
Surprisingly, as much as you dig on me for getting food from players and all this, I wasn't hungry at the time. I had a pretty good breakfast, so I didn't get anything off the cart.
Who paid for breakfast?
I came from home. I brought it from home.
Oh, that boy.
So I ate at home. So anyways, but I knew I'd be hungry at the turn. Of course, 4 holes later, I'd be hungry. And that was the last time that player offered to buy us anything all day. I was like, here we go. But the good news was I was paid up front. He couldn't eat my tip. Funny enough, though, just yesterday, he was on a different group in front of me. It was the group in front of me, and it was corporate, and it was out of the shop. And the beverage cart person was having a go at him, like, "Hey, you full over there yet, Talky? You full?"
Unbelievable.
It was pretty funny.
I sent you a video of him.
Pretty funny. You did, yeah. Eating a lunch and
literally never misses a chance.
It is pretty crazy. It's uncanny, really.
I'll take a brat. Yesterday at a brat. I'll take a sandwich from time to time. However, I usually eat before.
Yeah, but
these guys are
doing
just relying on it.
It's crazy. They do. They rely on getting fed, and he's got a great system too, where he gets up to that phone by the ninth hole. You guys having anything?
What can I order you?
No, what can I get you? And then he orders himself. And if they say no, he goes, well, we'll split something. You and I will split something. I'll order for us.
Absolute classic. Now, Zabbo, a few weeks ago, I told you that I had this random situation that could never happen. A few episodes ago, again, great opportunity. If you're new to the podcast, there's a bunch of episodes in the past. A year and a half ago, I met a guy in Scottsdale. I end up working for him.
I remember that.
Right?
Yep.
It's just so random.
Very random.
This one was even more random. It's a Saturday. The owners of the resort are in town. I ain't going to work that day. Not interested in that. So I get a phone call on the Friday night to go to work at the country club.
Okay.
Not my kind of thing, but I thought, you know what? Why not?
Do it, yeah.
So it's early afternoon. Turn up. 2 guys. It's a twosome.
Perfect. Breeze around.
Oh, we just cruise round. One of the guys, his name's Jeff.
Okay.
Jeff and Philip. Jeff is very, very much interested in caddying. Who's the most famous you've had? What's the craziest story? What's the most you've ever been paid?
Yep. All the typical ones. Yep.
So we're coming up at 16, late in the day, and I told him that I was in the process of thinking about writing a book, which I am. All about life. Golf.
It's a self-help book.
Golf, caddying, life anecdotes, right? That's what I was thinking. So we get to 16 green, and I said to him, one of the coolest things I'm working on right now is back in 95, 96, when I started caddying, I met this lawyer. My wife always says to me that when I tell a story, I give too much information. She's always like, quicker. You go, you didn't have to say that. Yeah. I always think,
more is better, yeah.
More is better, right?
Yeah, that's Gordon Morrison.
So I'm on the 16th green, and I said 95, 96. My lawyer, I'm now calling my lawyer.
Yeah, my lawyer, guy.
I was 14 at the time.
My lawyer.
I said my lawyer, Dave C. Tobin from Washington D.C. is in town, and he grew up. And the guy looks at me and says, "Bullshit." I went, "Okay, well maybe it was 97. I'm not 100% sure." And he goes, "Bullshit." I went, "What, you don't believe me?" He goes, No. He says, I don't believe this. What don't you believe? He said, Dave C. Tobin, he's a lawyer in Washington, D.C. I says, yes.
He knows him.
He said, his law firm is Tobin, O'Connor, Ewing. He said, I went to college with O'Connor. Wow. And he said, I've known Dave for 40 years, and Dave went to work for like the Attorney General or something in Austin, Texas or something, and they were roommates for a year and a half.
That's crazy.
Correct. Now, I didn't have to mention his name. I could have just said, this lawyer, because the second part of the story doesn't matter to the listeners.
Yeah.
But I'm saying that's the most random I've ever come across in almost 30 years of caddying.
It's amazing the connections we make. If we meet somebody, from anywhere, there's a good chance that we can find somebody in their network that knows them. Text them a picture of the two of you. They're like, oh my God, no way that you know him, and that randomly you get paired with him. That happens all the time. It's crazy.
Now, there's a story of randomness that people know you. I have a loop last week. Friends of Jimmy Dooling. Jimmy from New York.
Yeah.
You know him well.
Boy.
So he sends these lads into town. He never tells me there's 2 Irish lads in the group. Okay. There's a Liam and there's a Damien. and we are, chatting up Premier League football, back home, this, that, and the next thing. We get to the 9th tee, and they're asking me what to do, and they say, hey, what do we do here, dog? Mm-hmm. And I went, dog. I'm thinking to myself, dog, have I missed something here? Yeah. I'm pretty good when it comes to lingo, back home, Irish, American. I'm thinking dog.
Yeah, that's an American thing. That's not an Irish thing.
That must be a certain type of America that says dog.
It is, yeah.
What's up, dog? Right? Right? So the other two lads are Americans, Joe and Jake, and they're kind of looking at me, and I'm going, dog. So before he tees off, before Damien tees, I says, why'd you call me dog? He goes, we didn't call you dog, we called dog.
Doug.
And I was like, they thought my name was Doug. Doug.
They thought your name was Doug?
They thought my name was Doug.
This is the 9th hole?
This is the 9th hole.
Wow.
So we have a good laugh about it, and obviously for the next 10 holes, we're obliged to call me Doug and Dog.
Dog and Doug? Dougie Dog?
You ever had that?
Oddly that you say that, because I had that just yesterday.
Yesterday? Oh.
Corporate group, we're deep into the round. Things are going pretty well. They're happy with me. I'm happy with them. Corporate group, beverage cart rolls around, open buffet, Talky's in front of us. He goes, hey, Tim. And I'm just like looking around. I'm like, he's talking to me. I look down at my chest. Now, this is kind of funny because year and a half ago, I got these 2 new bibs, and I asked our friend Gordon here, who has an embroidery machine, I said, hey, do you mind I like my name on my bib. So kind of comically, I think most people think it's comically, you did this huge lettering that says Mike. It couldn't be bigger, and it's on the dead center of my chest. So he's like, Tim, you want anything? And I just looked down at my chest, and I'm like, nope, good bro, thanks.
Unbelievable. That's a true story.
14 holes in. So, it was out of the shop money-wise, and they threw a little on top, but he's like, hey, what are you doing tomorrow? And I said, I already got one, bro. Thanks for asking.
Tim's taking care of himself.
Yeah, Tim will be okay tomorrow.
What else has been happening at the resort?
Well, we had one of the craziest ones I've ever heard of. And this happened, I don't know, three weeks, maybe a month ago. And 4 players got banned for life from
the resort.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I heard this through, the caddy phone is crazy. A story gets told, and by the time it comes to you, it might have been retold 4 different times. So you never know what really happens.
We call it Chinese whispers.
Yeah, it is insane how things change, and it's so funny. But anyway, so I hear this story. This is how I heard it originally. Okay. So these 4 players show up. They're pretty lit before they tee off. They've been drinking. It's a late afternoon loop. It's like 2:30 in the afternoon.
Nothing wrong with that, Zabbo.
Nothing wrong with that at all. So this veteran is going around for a second time on a second loop. Well, at 2:30 in the afternoon, usually you're getting a lot of newer guys, sometimes brand new guys. Well, there was a brand new guy with this veteran working, and they get through 3 or 4 holes. It's not going so well for he's misreading putts. They're not very happy. He's not owning. They get to the 7th hole, and these guys are pretty lit up, and it's super slow. He misreads one on the 7th green by like 2 feet on the wrong side of the hole.
Ooh.
And he looks at the guy, and the guy's like, whoa, what happened here, John, or whatever? We'll call him John.
John.
We're like, John, what happened here? Oh, you pulled that.
Oh, dear.
Oh, jeez. So John didn't pull it. He misread the putt horribly. So all 4 of them went back and putted it. And they tried to kick him off the course. They said, you know what? We're good, man. We're happy with our caddy here. You can just go in. We've had it.
Ouch.
Well, he's 7 holes in, so he wants to get paid. He at least wants to get his bag fee. So he doesn't leave. He sticks it out. So the front 9 goes around in like 3 hours, super slow. They're drinking. They're kind of unhappy with one of the caddies. So then they go into the beverage whatever to get more drinks and get a little more lit. They fall a little bit behind. So one of the staff members comes up and says, hey guys, you're a little behind. You might want to just kind of try to keep up with that group in front of you. And they just go off on the guy. They're like, mother effing this, mother effing that. Get the hell out of there. We played in 3 hours on the front 9. Mm-hmm. And the guy was like, okay, I see what's happened here. We'll give him some time to catch up. Goes away. He backs down, leaves him be. So 3 holes later, they fall even further behind. And now the guy's pretty unhappy with him. the staff member, and goes up to him and goes, "Hey guys, okay, here we are in this situation again. You guys have two options. Option one, you can pick it up, go to the next hole, just tee off there. You're caught up to the group in front. Option two, you can just really pick up the pace and catch the group." And then goes, no. We have option three. We beat your ass. Oh no, that's not what you want to say. Security comes out, rips these guys off the course. You're done. Get out of here. End of story. They don't pay the rookie. They pay the veteran a little bit of money, whatever.
Yeah.
He leaves. I was like, wow, man, that is a crazy story. So I heard this from another caddy.
Of course you do. Yeah.
Well, 3 days later, I see that veteran at the big course, and I say, "Hey, man, I heard this crazy story about it. I ran through that whole story." He's like, "Yeah, that's kind of how it went down." He's like, "It wasn't exactly like that. Let me tell you what really happened." He goes, "All that happened. Then on the 14th hole, we were told to pick up. He gave the guy two options. Well, they gave him the third option. They were so mad, they finished the hole. Security wasn't called. They went to the 15th hole. The caddies went out in 4 caddy position, got ahead.
Yep.
All 4 of the guys pumped it OB right. They were so mad, so they had golf carts. They got in the carts. They just drove in.
Drove home.
They went into the pro shop, drove right past the caddies, didn't pick the caddies up. So the veteran that he is, saw him driving in and says, Marshall, come over. Picked up both caddies, jumped in the cart. Well, those Marshall carts are a lot faster.
Yeah, of course. They're like Formula One.
Yeah, they caught those guys pretty quick right in front of the pro shop. So they're out in front of the pro shop, mother effing any employee that has a name tag on.
Oh, dear.
And just going off on them.
Diplomatic service, correct? Is that?
Yeah, very, very. So the veteran walks up and says, we'll call the other guy, one of the players in the group, Tony. He says, Tony. I just want to explain something to you. I know, I hope you know I was on your side all day. Right. I know you didn't have a great time today with everything that happened, but I was on your side. So if you did want to give me any sort of gratuity, I just want you to know none of that goes to them. None of that goes to the caddy.
It all goes to cigarettes, alcohol, and drugs.
It all goes to caddy activities. That all goes to me. And he was like, okay, so he's like, you're right.
Threw him some grease.
He threw him some grease. The rookie did get stiff.
The rookie, John.
Yeah, John. They were not happy with John. He got stiff. John, lesson learned.
Lesson learned.
I mean, we still do it from time to time. You got to own it if you give a bad call. You give bad speed or a bad read, you got to own it. You got to say, I'm sorry, bro. That was on me. That didn't do what I thought. I wasn't looking at it properly. So after the caddy gets tipped, he goes on to tell me he heard the next day they showed up at the wee wee course and security was waiting for him there. They didn't allow them to tee off, said, you guys can finish out the rest of your stay at the hotel, but you will not be playing golf today. You're no longer welcome on the resort.
You're banned from property.
Yeah. See you later. See you, bye.
They'll be back under a different name.
They always are.
You do. Talking about bad caddying, I had a guy called Aaron. Just met him yesterday. He's from Chicago, the lovely town of Chicago. And he was asking me to take... I wasn't even working for him, by the way. Someone else was working for him. Mm-hmm. I'm the one taking photos because they can tell that it's not my first rodeo.
Yeah, you've been there, done
And I have a very certain way I do photographs on number 7, number 18. I take 3.
Yeah, 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1, yeah.
1, 2, 3,
yeah.
1, 2, 3. I sometimes take 4 or 5 because there's obviously the selfie Zabbo.
Yeah, we do that all the time. We're working together. I'm pretending like I'm looking with you. I'm like, oh yeah, that's a good picture. And you get a selfie of you and I together. Yeah.
And of course, back in the day, when I first started working 30 years ago, there was the wind on cameras.
Oh, of course, yeah.
So the guy's like, oh, I was sure I had like 26 left. It says 24 now. And you're like, wait till you go home and see those photos.
That's going to be a surprise shot later.
I never even thought at 13, 14 years old that an adult would take pictures of his junk.
Yeah.
And I was like, why are you doing that? Well, the guy's a dick, isn't he?
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, okay.
There you go.
And he says his wife will see a picture of himself. I went, oh, okay. So there you go. That's the type of idea. But this lad, as we're walking to take the 3 photos, looks at the camera. I've switched cameras, and he goes, oh, I've seen this before. And he shows me the selfie I've taken. I went, I just don't know how to use iPhones. And then he says, well, the guys at St. Andrews, the caddies at St. Andrews did that to us. I went, what do you mean? He says, well, it was the first time I went there 15 years ago. He said it was a proper camera. So I'm guessing the wind on, disposable. And he said, we're on the Swilcan Bridge at 18. And he said they took 3 or 4 photos of the side of our heads.
It didn't get like them.
No,
in the
never
bridge
got.
Wow.
He said, so obviously for us, we had to go back. He said that was an excuse to go back. I thought that's shocking.
Come on, you got to do those guys justice.
Oh, this lad, Aaron, was like, we go out there and we have a good laugh, but we'd never do that to people.
Yeah,
It's just, I just thought, you know what? It's because they must be from the East Coast.
Probably.
Excellent, Zabbo. Well, we're going to have to move on. We have a new message from our sponsor,
Big Game Golf.
and after that, we have lots of mailbag stuff, some bits and pieces from listeners. I would call it Santa's Grotto. 4! As many of you know, our podcast is sponsored by the Big Game Golf app. However, what many of you won't know is there's also a Big Game Golf Founders Club. Anyone can become a member of the Founders Club, and the benefits are numerous. You'll get early access to new game releases, receive special promotions from Big Game Golf partners, and you'll receive a lifetime Big Game Golf membership, which also includes 3 one-year premium memberships for 3 of your golfing buddies. As a Founders Club member, you'll also have access to the Big Game Golf team to share comments, feedback, and suggestions. To find out more, visit biggamegolf.com and click on the Founders Club tab. And if you do join the club, don't forget to enter the promo code GD1 to receive some Big Game Golf swag. 4! There you go, Michael. The Founders Club.
Mm-hmm. Sign up.
I did speak to Rich, and we've been saying it for a long time. They'll be more frustrated than anyone about the app still not being ready, but
yeah, to perfect something like this takes time, and
yes.
it's when it is launched, it's going to be amazing. It's gonna help a lot of people.
We should say the new app, because there is a current app, but the new one is going to be tremendous. I think six weeks, so you look forward to that. Got to move on. So, would you rather start with some stuff from the previous episode that we never got to, or
I'll let you make the call.
Good lad. I'm glad that you realise the hierarchy within the workshop. World Order of Merit. The World Order of Merit. We've been guilty in the past of saying we'll do something and then never getting around to it, but we did say this.
Mm-hmm.
Started in 1986, correct?
It did, yeah.
And the most longest at number 1?
Tiger Woods, hands down.
Number 2?
Greg Norman.
Yeah. Originally, it was a way of awarding points to give people a ranking in the world of golf.
I think it's a necessity. It's fun to look at who the best golfers in the world are, and I think up until a few years ago, it was a pretty accurate reflection of who the best golfers in the world were and are.
I don't agree with that.
Why not?
Because I believe that obviously the PGA Tour were getting more points than anywhere else, so you could win an event on the European Tour and still not get as many points as someone that just made the cut in a PGA Tour event because everything was so lopsided towards in favour of the PGA Tour.
Well, it's true that the best players in the world were on the PGA Tour up until a few years ago. Granted, you had guys that were dedicated to the European Tour that could have been successful tour players and had much higher rankings had they played over here. So in that way, I think you're right. It was a bit flawed, but by and large, I think it's a pretty accurate reflection. Most of those guys who are the best players in the world decided, okay, I got to get to the U.S., play in the PGA Tour, get paid, which is how it used to be.
I would say from 1986 until 1999, I would have thought the European Tour was as strong as the PGA Tour.
What do you think? You think the Tiger factor changed everything?
I do.
Just bringing money to the tour.
So much money came in.
Yes.
And that a lot of the Europeans then thought, okay, because ultimately, and again, this is why I've said in the past that the Ryder Cup is somewhat diminished, because these guys, they did stick to their own tour, and they did only play the majors against each other and the Ryder Cup every 2 years. So they might only see each other 5 or 6 times a year. So there was a real rivalry there. Mm-hmm. Whereas now they're next door neighbours.
Well, that's true. So let's call it, up until a few years ago, the last 22 years, it was an accurate reflection. Maybe not since 1986, but the last 22 years, for as long as I've been watching professional golf, it has been an accurate reflection of who the best players in the world are.
That's better. Thank you.
Would you agree with that?
I would agree with that.
Okay,
yeah,
there
definitely.
we go.
Definitely.
So we're off. So
we're off.
So it was up until the divide happened, until LIV happened, and the powers that be, Keith Pelly, Jay Monahan, the people at the OWGR decided that LIV was not going to be awarded any official world golf ranking points. Mm-hmm. And the fact that they weren't allowing these guys to play on the PGA Tour and that they were playing all these LIV events and they were getting no points dropped them down in the rankings. I mean, you look at some of these rankings. In the top 10, you only have one guy from LIV in the top 10 being Jon Rahm, and he's fifth in the world. You're telling me Jon Rahm is the fifth best player in the world? Sorry, bro. He's number 2. It's Scotty Scheffler, Jon Rahm, and Cam Smith is not too far behind. Mm-hmm. It's just insanity to me that these guys are unwilling. They've diminished the whole official world golf ranking just to spite the LIV guys. I mean, it's ridiculous.
However, I feel as if they all knew that before they went to the tour. I'm not a supporter.
No, I get anything, it. But the players certainly knew that, but the official world golf ranking should know that their rankings are now obsolete and thrown out the window because they don't really matter. This official world golf ranking does not reflect who the best players in the world are by a long shot. There's many people on the LIV Tour that are much better than Max Homa, Brian Harman, Patrick Cantlay. I'm sorry, there are
100%. Do you see a resolution coming, Zabbo?
I mean, we've said it numerous times. I do. I think it has to happen. It's a matter of when. I thought it would have happened by now. I'm super shocked it hasn't. But I do think it has to come in the next year or two. I mean, how much longer can this go on?
I heard that some of the LIV golfers are going to be allowed to go and play in the DP Tour.
I think they've already announced that.
Have they already announced that?
They've already announced that. I think they said if Rahm and whoever else plays in at least 4 or 5 events or whatever, they'd be re-eligible for the Ryder Cup again. So
that's what it was.
Yeah.
Oh, fantastic. Okay.
So we're maybe taking baby steps in the right direction, but right now, the official world golf ranking is bullshit.
It really is.
It's bullshit.
In a previous episode, we'd also talked about the cost of golf. Mm-hmm. And there's a lad called Andrew Jameson. He's from South Carolina.
Okay.
And he sent me an email, podcast@glorifieddonkey.com. This was a fantastic reading. We are starting to book our 2025 Waste Management Open packages and suites. Below are options for a package on 16th hole for a group of 4 guests. Can do smaller or bigger group sizes if you want. And also full private suite options for 16th Skybox and 17th Bay Club suites.
Nice.
Oh, the Bay Club suites. Oh,
they're reaching out to the Glorified Donkey.
No, this was sent to him. He's obviously
gotcha. Okay.
done some in the past. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. Reach out. Don't, it's always reach out. So corporate. And I'd be happy to discuss further. If you would like to secure your spots, let me know which package option and size or full private suite. And I would just have to get you over a contract / reservation form to sign, and you would be all set. So here we go for the 2025 Waste Management Open package. 4 people.
4 people.
Now, there's only 40 spots available.
That's it.
So you get 2 nights accommodation at the Fairmont.
Ooh, the Fairmont.
Check in on Saturday, the February the 8th. Check out Monday the 10th. Mm-hmm. 2 rooms, Queen. 4 tickets, Sunday round, Skybox 16th hole. Includes all your food and drink, including alcohol.
Assuming they don't cut it off and don't allow people to drink again.
Exactly. 4 VIP. What does VIP stand for?
Very important person.
Oh, no, well, there was someone else I was thinking, but 4 VIP Super Bowl party passes Sunday during game. That's on site at the Fairmont Princess. Includes gourmet food.
Gourmet. and also known as gourmet.
And drink, including alcohol during the game.
Ooh.
On-site staff and itinerary prior to travel. Right, Zabbo?
What's it cost? Wait a sec. So is this a private suite for the tournament for the 2 days?
Nah, they just get 4 tickets for the Skybox. So you're basically getting your accommodation, all your food, your drink. You're going to the Skybox.
For 4 people.
On the Sunday, you're going to the Skybox, and then you're also Super Bowl.
$27,000.
Oh, come on, it's not that expensive. It's $11,500 for 4, so it's a little under $3,000 per person. That's including all taxes and fees.
All taxes and fees. Let's do it.
That's a deal. Okay, sign us up for 12. Sign us up for. We're not going to Seascape next time. We're going to go.
Perfect. All right,
but here we go. Right, This is wild. The 17th Bay Club Suite. 48 tickets per day. This includes food and drink.
How 40 much? Tickets?
48.
48 tickets.
On the Friday and Saturday, it costs 80,000.
For 40 tickets.
40 tickets. You're 2,000 ahead for one day.
For one day?
For one day, yeah. Skybox is 75,000.
Wow. It's impressive. And they'll probably sell it.
I don't think so.
You don't think so? Somebody will buy it.
I think the Waste Management's had its time. I really do. I think
this past year was
this past year.
Oh man,
they've lost it, but it just shows you. Come on,
yeah.
Who's got money to go and spend in that?
Yeah, people we caddy for sure.
But thank you for that little tidbit. Got another one here from John Eaton.
John Eaton.
You heard the name? Do you know him? No?
No, by your look, it seems like I should.
Yes. Digging the show. Great bits, digestible chunks I have been absolutely binging on. And the subject line may be an exaggeration, but I got to say, he may be misleading the people a bit. The subject to this email was Big G is lying. I am a new caddy and recently did a shadow loop with Big G.
Oh, jeez. Here we go.
For all his talk about the training and shadowing being less than effective and considerably too short, by the back nine on the wee course, Big G was calling the caddy manager on my behalf to absolve me from any more shadow loops.
Wow.
Full disclosure, I greatly appreciated it and felt well prepared by the time I got my first real loop. A lot of that preparation came from the shadow loop with G and the one with a good friend, John Martin. That's from Josh Eaton. So I will divulge it. He carried the bag. That was the one where he carried the bag.
Of course he did.
I got him very much hands-on. I think he did 2 shadow loops, maybe 3. Mm-hmm. Three.
And you called the caddy manager on the back nine?
I did, because he's an older guy. He plays golf. He had, obviously...
seen the courses.
Well, you go out with me, it's like having 5 or 6 shadow loops,
he's good. He's good to go.
He was pretty much good to go. Yeah. Now, I've been with other people, and I would have called the manager and said,
don't put him out there.
You can't send him out there.
Yeah.
But again, at some point, you got to learn.
It's true. Or get fired. Yeah, one of the two.
I've never really thought about it until young Sean, who does the YouTube with us, got involved. Because if you're a golfer and you get a caddy, surely as soon as you meet the person, you say, well, how long have you been out here? They say, It's my first loop.
Well, as a new caddy, and if you learn anything, you always say 5 years. You never, even if it's your first day, I've been out here 5 years.
But isn't that kind of almost shooting yourself in the foot as well?
That's why you don't say this is my first year.
But if you are awful, because there are some guys that are awful.
Well, like that rookie caddy, you got to own it. If you misread one, you're not going to be perfect out there. Own it. Players appreciate it. You're like, I got that one wrong. I'm sorry. Let's move on. I'll get the next one right.
I heard you tell me that didn't all those players just start rolling the putt?
Yeah, all four players went over. The caddy had it on the wrong side of the hole, and the other caddy was with him, told me, and he actually pulled him aside after the fact. He's like, look, man, you've lost them. There's not very many ways to get them back. The only thing you can do at this point is go up to him and say, look, I'm sorry. I'm new here. I got that one wrong. I apologize. Don't say anything else and go along. And he said the rookie went up and did that, and they were cool with that. They were like, okay, we get it. And they moved on. And that's how he was able to finish the loop and not have to walk in.
I was working with Eddie the other day, and he tried to call me out in a putt. So how about this? Yeah. My player, we have our back to the ocean. Mm-hmm. My player is putting towards the hole, and his is putting away from the ocean. So it's the opposite sides, exactly in a straight line. So whatever my putt does, or my guy's putt does,
his putt should mirror
his should do the mirror. Yeah. Right?
Correct.
So my boy hits it, and of course he pulls it. Mm-hmm. And Eddie's like, oh, it's awful, Reed. But he was serious. We would sometimes do that and say, I blame the caddy. I said, what are you talking about? So I told my guy, left centre. Mm-hmm. And it was left centre. If you get it outside the hole, that's not left centre.
Correct.
He then tells his player left centre from the opposite side.
Oh, no.
And of course, what happens?
Moves left.
It moves left.
Yeah.
I says, what? like, what is wrong with you? You're meant to be a pro. Clown. So here's another one from a Brian in Denver. I've heard that Cal Club has a dead crow hanging from the tee box to keep away the rest of the crows. Have you ever heard about this?
Oddly enough, I caddied for a Cal Club member 3 or 4 weeks ago, and he told me the same thing because there was a bunch of crows all over the carts and whatnot, and he saw me. He's like, you know what we have at Cal Club? We have a dead crow out there hanging upside down by its feet, and not one dead crow comes. And I'm like,
not any alive crows either.
Yeah. Good point. I'm like, well, how does that work? Like, do you keep the same crow there for a month? Like, it's got to start rotting and smelling. Do you change it out every week or so just to get a fresh dead crow?
Well, I'll tell you what, that close to San Francisco, you'd be keeping it quiet.
True.
Because someone's got
protecting
to
the crows, yeah.
But somebody's got to catch that crow.
That's true. I love it. That's a great idea. I mean, if it keeps the crows away, let's do it. I think we should do it out here.
I'd never heard about it, but I've seen a picture of it. Somebody
kind of gruesome.
A few months ago actually showed me a picture of it.
Good idea. Hey, if it keeps the crows away, I'm all for it.
Well, you know how they react when they see a dead one of their own, because we obviously witnessed it.
Oh, yeah. Oh, man, a couple of years ago, yeah. They don't take kindly if you kill one of their friends.
But it didn't keep them away, though, did it?
Oh, no. Kept after it. Was that Jimmy or who?
That was Wee Paul.
It was, yeah.
That was Wee Paul's group.
Yeah, it was his group.
Classic.
Unbelievable.
Right. I've got a story here because one of our listeners, we mentioned Brando Chambly.
As we do from time to time.
Shambolic.
Her buddy who blocked us both.
You got to mention this because we have an opinion about somebody based upon what you read, what you see, what you hear. Mm-hmm. This is somebody I know.
Personal experience.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was a while ago and I caddied for him, mid-2000s, around 05, 06. I didn't watch much golf at the time, so I asked him what he did for a living.
That's classic.
A couple of holes in, and he was super offended that I didn't know him. He was already being high maintenance before that, and then afterwards, he was just a jerk. It was a long time ago, so I don't remember specifics, but I remember afterwards asking my roommate if he knew him, and he proceeded to tell me the story. He'd caddied for him before, and he thought it was funny that I didn't know who he was. He knew Brandl's ego, and his experience with him wasn't much better. He played at Bandon once a few years later, and another guy I knew caddied for him, and he said it was awful too. They had the entire course backed up and played in 5.5 hours. Since then, just listening to him talk shit about other people, knowing he's an asshole, is just so hypocritical. I'm not a LIV or PGA defender, don't care actually, but listening to him call these guys every name in the book for dirty money is nauseating. He never criticised Tiger or Rory for the Nike money, and we all know about the sweatshops they operate to make their products, or Tiger getting appearance fees in Dubai where they practice Sharia law. He's just such a hypocrite and an asshole in real life, and yet he plays the game of I'm the good guy and smarter than everyone else. Mm-hmm. Like I said, he's got a God complex. Wish I had more details, but like I said, it was a lot of years ago. There you go.
Nailed it on the head. That's everything that I think of the guy. I mean, he is a hypocrite, and he's an idiot.
Me personally, I asked a sportsman, NFL player, you remember this from last year? Said, yeah. Did you ever get a chance to play for the Oakland Raiders?
Mm-hmm.
At which point he looked at me with a glare and said, I did.
Yes, and this guy is, I mean, maybe number 1 or 2 all time in his position, Hall of Famer. Oddly enough, I just caddied for him like 2 weeks ago, not even.
Was he asking after me?
He was wondering how you been doing.
And I also asked a very well-known Hollywood actor who I didn't recognize him. I said, what do you do? And he said, I'm an actor. And I said, I don't watch gay porn.
I bet that went over real well.
And turned out that he was very well known.
Yeah, there you go.
So I think, but that just describes a lot of these people. You got an ego.
A lot of them have big egos,
Yeah, I don't know.
You should know who I am.
You should know who I am.
Yeah, I don't like that either. I'm with you there.
This was another question that we got actually on Twitter. And if you're not already following, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, just search for Glorified Donkey.
Get on it.
So this was a cracking question from a Trevor Edge in Bristol, Rhode Island.
Oh, Trevor. I don't know Trevor, but I do know Bristol, Rhode Island.
Mm-hmm. He says, what is the biggest flex you've ever seen on the golf course in terms of money spending, breaking a very expensive club and not thinking about it twice? Do you guys have any cool stories of guys completely lying about their worth versus guys who don't need to tell how much they're worth because you can just tell what are some dead giveaways? Oh, that's a good question.
That is a great question. We could do a full episode on just this subject, on huge flexes.
Did I ever tell you the flex? So I'm caddying for a lad who was involved in air conditioning in Oklahoma.
Yep, there you go.
So his company...
Total asshole, no personality.
So his company was to do air conditioning. They charged 10 times what everyone else charged. If your air conditioning is broken down at 115 degrees, do you want your pregnant wife to just sit there for 3 days waiting for the competition to turn up, or pay me 10 times and I'll be there in 40 minutes? So
hot ticket.
I made millions.
Nice.
And he was fully medicated. And what
all the time.
And what he would do is he would just get a private jet, fly out to the resort. He wouldn't play much golf. He just would.
He'd there for the camaraderie and drinking and
the drinking.
Pill popping and
and he would slap the ball for like 6 or 7 holes, and then he would just drive in. I'm going to the tap room.
Had my fill.
So I'm having lunch with him in the tap room once, and there's about 10 people, and the menus come out, and someone's like, "Oh yeah, I'll have the pulled pork. Oh, I'll have the potato skins. I'll have the club sandwich." And then it would come to him, and he says, "I want nachos." and the server went, "Sorry, we don't have nachos." He goes, "I want nachos." He says, "But we don't have nachos on the menu, sir." And all of a sudden,
not going to happen.
I look around, and he's got like $200 or $300, right? 3 or 4 bills that just and he says, "I want nachos," right? And the waiter just grabbed it and says, "Coming right out, sir."
We got the nachos. Yep, we'll make them happen.
And I thought that was fantastic.
That's a flex.
That was a flex.
That's a flex. Actually, this wasn't even so much of a flex, just as about like how much money a person has. And this just happened a few weeks ago. Mm-hmm. That same group that you got canned off of. You know, the NFL legend. Well,
I don't think I get canned off it. I just wasn't asked back. For more.
True, you weren't asked back. But anyway, so the main guy in that group I've caddied for years, and he's one of those guys who's like, he gets to the resort and he's like, "All right, you take my golf bag with you every day, bring it home with you, show up at the course, I'll pay you well," which he does. So anyways, we finish the first day, and I bring the bag and I leave it in my trunk because I'm not going to bring it to my house and all that. Mm-hmm. And he calls me up. He says, "Hey, Mike, can you check in my bag? I left my watch and my World Series ring." And I'm like, "First off, World Series ring, get the hell out of here." He's like, "Yeah." I was like, "Yeah, let me get back to you. It's in my car." He's like, whoa, keep it in your house." So I went out, brought the bag in, opened the bag, take out this watch and take out this ring, this huge World Series ring from just a few years ago. And this watch is a Rolex that had more diamonds on it than I've ever seen anywhere. And I look it up, and it's like a $250,000 watch. So, of course, I call him back, and I was like, "Yeah, man, it wasn't in the bag. Sorry, you must have left it at home." So,
of course, I know this guy.
It's
just a petty $250,000 watch, but can't tell the time. And
true,
I can't remember him ever playing in the World Series. Not that I'm not a big baseball aficionado, but
he did not play, but he was a very generous donor, and he actually told me the story when he. So I'm not going to say what team and whatever, but he was at the stadium, and he's always a donor every year to the foundation or whatever. And the owner of the team gets up there and calls him by name, and they say, "Hey, if you donate $25,000 to the team today, if we win a World Series, I'll get your ring." So he goes, "Done." Donated $25,000. They won the World Series next year, and they got him a ring with his name on it.
Get him a plastic
Pretty
ring.
Cool story.
Yeah, we could probably have a think about this over the next few weeks.
Oh, about flexes?
Yeah,
there's
flexing.
Some crazy flexes. Flexes with jets. Seen a guy ban his buddies from flying on his jet because he lost a bet. I mean, talk about an FU flex. Yeah,
I think there was one.
You're flying home commercial.
I've had a few who they've said, "Oh yeah, I know." I said, "What are you doing this summer?" They said, "Oh, playing polo." I'll be like, "Water polo,
bro?" And
they go, "No, polo." And I remember asking a guy once. He says, "How much does that cost?" And he tells me how much it is for a season. Right?
Oh,
ridiculous, right?
Crazy.
And I said, "What do you win?" And he looked at me in disgust. Because I'm thinking, well, if it costs you 30 million a season, maybe you get a chance to win 60.
Mm-hmm.
He looked at me and he says, "Nothing. The pride
of playing polo."
The pride.
So another guy, you were on this loop with me. The guy's son is a professional polo player, so he actually does get paid and sponsored to play. But before you do that, you actually grow up playing polo, obviously.
Yeah.
Do you know the game of polo? Like, obviously, people know polo's played on horse. But you know how many horses you need for a game? One player?
80. Oh, you need 20 per player. 20 per player.
8 horses. So he travels around, but they have more than that because they don't use them all for the same game. But the dude travels around with like 12 of his own horses. You need a whole team in place to take care of the horse, let alone play the game.
We actually we didn't have polo where I went to school, so I never got involved.
I actually played on my high school polo
Oh, of course
team.
you did.
It was great.
Back in Rhode Island. Rhode Island. Excellent. Right, Zabbo, that's us. End of another episode. We'll have to go. Any shout outs before we go?
Yeah, I got to shout out Patrick Chu. I was texting with him the other day. He sent me a picture. He was down in Florida. He texted me a picture of Hoon with the Kim Crawfords. Remember Hoon with the Kim Crawfords? Got wasted on the Kim Crawfords?
Yeah.
Got a shot. He's coming out. He's like, "Yeah, we're on for August, right?" And I was like, "Bro, you never sent me any dates about August." So
yeah,
looking forward to seeing him in August. Also got to shout out Troy McKinley. That was a pleasure caddying for him. Look forward to seeing him again.
Absolute legend. For me, Liam, Damien, Joe, Jake, great meeting you boys. Hope you're listening. Hope life is good in New York. Also, there's one guy called David. I'll tell you more about this in the next episode, actually.
Okay, but before we let that go, we got to shout out our buddy David from Bolingbrook Golf Club. Bolingbrook, who he was on the Real Life podcast.
It would help if you could able to see it. I thought it was only me that struggled with words.
I know, we're all struggling today. But he was on the podcast just a few episodes ago, and
Liv
took notice, and now they're playing a tournament there this September. So
all because of that.
Yeah, shout out to you, Dave Thompson.
Excellent.
Good on you.
Well, listen, folks, many thanks for listening. That's number 133, which means there's a previous 132. Any questions, suggestions, feedback, email it in, podcast@glorifieddonkey, or follow us on the socials. Until the next time, Michael, thank you for your time. We'll see you soon.
Thank you.
And to you guys, thanks for listening. But more importantly,
keep it humble.